Welcome back to Rumor Society. On this channel, we share our opinions on social media stories and headline news. Now let's get into today's story. Alright, y'all, so today we're going to be reacting to a story time. This young lady is getting ready to tell us about a nightmare dating experience. Let's get into it.
The one time a man asked me to pay for a date, I was so baffled by the question that I didn't even process what was actually happening or what was actually being asked. So let's rewind to 2021. I had just finished residency, moved to Texas, and was ready to get on the dating apps. Bad idea. I matched with this guy on Hinge. We start talking for a little bit. Eventually, he's like, hey, let's meet up. Let's go on a date. I'm like, cool. So he's mindful to pick a place that's near my house so that I don't have to drive too far. And he tells me that we'll meet at a restaurant called the Thirsty Lion. I had never been there, but based off of what I could see on Google, it kind of reminded me of like a Bar Louie kind of vibe. The day of the date, he changes things and is like, hey, let's go to this other restaurant. It's called Rosa's Cafe. He's like, we can go to Rosa's and then we can go to Dave & Buster's afterwards. So these are all his plans. I also don't know what Rosa's Cafe is, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. The day we go to Rosa's Cafe, I park my car, I see a drive-thru, as in Rosa's Cafe has a drive-thru. Then we get inside, and I kid you not, it's like a Mexican version of McDonald's.
Is it?
I'm not above eating here, however. This
not
is
for
very
a date.
different from what I read about Thirsty Lion on Google. We get to the register to order. The lady there doesn't speak the best English, but I speak enough Spanish to be conversational. So he's looking at the menu, investigating everything on the menu, and then finally tells me his order. I tell her the order in Spanish, and then I order myself my food as well. After I order in Spanish, I step back from the register thinking he's gonna pay. And then he steps back as well, looks at me, and is like, so how do you want to do this?
What?
I said, do what? He was like, do you want to get this, or do you want to pay for Dave & Buster's, or how do you want to split this? I kid you not, I must have looked like a deer in headlights because I was so confused. Now the auntie at the register is looking at me, looking at him, looking at me, looking at him, and she's also confused. So then she's like looking at the register, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the register like, okay, wait, what? And then he's like, yeah, like, do you want to pay for this or do you want to pay for Dave & Buster's? And I was like, you know what? At this point, I'm hungry because I haven't eaten anything. I was like, I'll just pay for this. So I stepped back up to the register. She asked me in Spanish, you're paying? I said, yes. She starts laughing. And at that point, I can't help but to laugh.
Oh my God. Not the cashier laughing. Oh, girl, that is embarrassing. The cashier at Rosa's Cafe was gagged. Oh my gosh. I'm confused. He asked you out, right? I would think if you're the one asking the other person out, that you would pay for the date. Am I wrong? Y'all let me know in the comments below, am I wrong? I just thought that's how it goes. I'm going to rewind it,
I haven't eaten anything. I was like, I'll just pay for this. So I stepped back up to the register. She asked me in Spanish, you're paying? I said, yes. She starts laughing. And at that point, I can't help but to laugh either. And he's like, what's funny? And she's like, oh, nothing. And then I start laughing even harder because at this point, I'm like, this has to be a joke.
And it's not.
So we pick a table. The food gets ready. And similar to McDonald's, when you dine in, your food is served on a tray. The tray is ready. They call our number. He gets up. I'm assuming he's getting up to get the tray because that would be the manly thing to do. No, he gets up to just get his silverware. And I carry the tray.
Are you serious? She paid for the meal, even though he asked her out. He couldn't even grab the tray of food. He just grabbed silverware. Are you kidding me? It's giving he just needed a meal. It's giving he was between paychecks and wanted something to eat. How you asking girls out and you want to be treated like a princess? Alright, so she has a part 2. Let's get into it.
So we ate. He made the most diabolical sounds while he was chewing.
Oh God.
And I was just annoyed the entire time. However, I paid for the food. Now keep in mind the meal might have cost like $23. I think it was like $23 and some change. And I refuse to be the only person to spend money on this day. So we went to Dave & Buster's. We absolutely went to Dave & Buster's.
Did he
Everybody
pay?
tells me I should have just left after we ate, but that means I would have been the person who paid for everything that day, and I couldn't be that person. We go to Dave & Buster's. This is my first time in Dave & Buster's. I've never been here before. I did not know that Dave & Buster's was kid-friendly. I just assumed it was like an adult's Chuck E. Cheese, but there's kids everywhere. So he pays for our tokens, and then we go off to play. Now, rewind. I remember when I was a kid and we would go to Chuck E. Cheese, My mom would split our tokens amongst my siblings and I, and you would just have your tokens for the time that we were at Chuck E. Cheese. He held on to the tokens the entire time, so it wasn't like I could like go play off on my own or anything. Like, I just had to be stuck with him and ask for tokens whenever I wanted to play something. The real reason why I knew I would never see this man again is we got to that little machine. It's not little. We got to the machine where you punch it, and you punch the ball as hard as you can, and you get a score. He went first, got his score. I went after him, punched it, and my score was like at least 50 points higher than his. At that point, I had an immediate ick. Paying for the date, paying for the food part of the date was an ick.
No. Yeah, the ick was the first half of the date when he had you pay. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not paying for nothing. I'm also not eating. I'm going home, okay? I'm leaving immediately. Immediately. You asked me here. You asked me, and then I'm sitting here thinking, is this something that should have been discussed before they met up? Like, maybe if they discussed this before they met up, she would have decided, hey, you know, this isn't for me. You're a nice guy, but yeah, this isn't for me, right? She talking about something she knew he wasn't for her when they were at Dave & Buster's. It was giving that when y'all was still at Rosa's, when he let you carry the tray and only grab silverware for himself. Let's continue.
Punching this and getting a higher score, ick. And he's like, nah, you know, these things are rigged, let's run it again. We run it a second time. My score is even higher the second time around. At that point, I was just like, yeah, I automatically knew that I was never going to see this man again. Don't get me wrong, I'm a competitive person, but when I tell you at every single game, I beat this man, even to the point of us playing basketball at the free throw line, I'm still hitting more free throws than this man. We did basketball at least like 6 times because he wanted to prove that he could make more free throws than I could. And it was just embarrassing. It wasn't going. At this point, we had played everything that is like age appropriate at Dave & Buster's, and I'm ready to go. But he's like, no, we got to keep using the rest of our tokens because he paid for the tokens. And I'm like, yo, like, forget these tokens because we've played every like adult age game in here. All the other games that are left we can't fit in because they're for kids. But he's adamant about using all of our tokens, so we just kept playing basketball for the rest of the night until all the tokens were gone, and then we left. And then I never spoke to him again.
We wouldn't have made it to Dave & Buster's if it was up to me. This story was funny to me, but in all seriousness, I know sometimes it's uncomfortable, but we have to speak up. She knew in the beginning of the date that it wasn't going to work just because of what happened at Rosa's. The fact that the cashier laughed would have sent me into oblivion. I'm not lying to you. The cashier laughing at me, I would have just turned around and walked right out the door. She started this story by stating that once she finished residency, she was ready to date. Just me hearing that, I'm like, okay, this young lady has her head on straight. She has a lot going for herself. Now here she is with a man that asked her out. He didn't value her enough to pay the $23 for their meal, let alone carry the food tray. She had to go get the tray of food. I understand not wanting to make someone feel uncomfortable. I understand respecting other people. But he made plans with you, knowing he had no intention of paying for the entire thing. What's the point of wasting her time as well as his time? It just doesn't make sense to me. You live and you learn, right? I'm pretty sure this is not something that would ever happen to her again. It was a funny little story time. Please let me know your thoughts below. Who is responsible for paying if one person invites the other person out? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.